how much we are pumping to run these white elements. Trillions, not billions, trillions. Sri Lankan Air alone, 47 billion, 43, 45, 47 billion loss per annum. We don't have money for education. This year, government allocated only 300 million for Colombo University, 500 million for other universities, 700 maximum. Okay, there's a medical faculty building for Colombo University. That's why government reduced allocation to 300 million. Last month, our electricity bill, 33 million. We don't have money. We don't have money. Rationalization. Here also, public finance management is crucial. Then revenue mobilization. Sri Lanka's tax ratio, one of the lowest tax ratios in the world. Still, our tax authority is targeting visible taxpayers, including you and including me. What about the invisible rich people? They are not in the tax system. So no efficiency, no equity. Okay? Many are criticizing doctors and other professors are running from this country. We are going to face huge problem. Because efficiency says that government should generate revenue, sufficient revenue. At the same time, it should minimize unintended consequences. Because 36%, everybody is saying we can't. This is the rate, okay, is implemented in many developed countries. That is not applicable for Sri Lanka. Okay, in developed countries, you can buy a car using 1 month's salary. You can mortgage a house using your salary alone. But here you can't. Here you can't. Okay. So here we have issues. Then role of the government. That is crucial. Then you have monetary policy, fiscal policy, trade policy, distributional policy, exchange rate policy, everywhere. But these are crucial. IMF, many are saying International Monetary Fund, but the other argument, it's mostly fiscal. IMF, it's mostly fiscal. IMF. The name is International Monetary Fund, but the other name also we have. It's mostly fiscal. IMF says increase tax revenue, increase. But IMF said the other argument also, reduce your expenditure, rationalize your expenditure. Government is silent. Minimize corruption, silent. Okay? So public finance management is crucial to sustain your economic growth rate. Then only you can attract FDI because our saving is very low, investment is very low. Then you need FDI. Otherwise, your growth potential will be low. You need growth. The benefit of growth also should reach everybody. That is inclusive growth rate. Then government policy is important. Plan is important. Implementation is important. Okay. Then why we are saying efficient public finance management is crucial to boost your economic growth rate. Not only in Sri Lanka, in many developing countries. So when you have well-managed public finance, then definitely you can ensure stable and conducive economic environment. Why? How? You can ensure proper allocation of resources. You can promote fiscal discipline. And then only you can facilitate the implementation of effective policy. Government should be a facilitator. Government should not play instrumental role. Everywhere giving free things, free. No, that will not work. Singapore didn't do that. South Korea didn't do that. Vietnam is not doing that. Okay? In Sri Lanka, government is a implementer everything. Government is playing instrumental role. Government should be a facilitator. But certain things, yes, definitely government can provide. Employment, you can see, graduates, all are expecting, job from the government. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. So, how efficient public finance management will lead to economic growth and development? How? Number one is resource allocation. Okay. When you have efficient public finance management, just definitely you can allocate resources properly. Then you can sustain your economic growth. You can invest on infrastructure, education, healthcare, and innovation. These are the crucial areas. You tell me, what is our style here? 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 Okay. So infrastructure development is crucial. Okay, I read somewhere, I have to verify that. When Jayawardena government nationalized Ceylon Air, I guess, Ceylon Air, it became Air Lanka. Then Lee Kuan Yew advised him, don't nationalize. Better you develop your airport. But he did not listen to that. Jawaharlal Nehru also nationalized Indian Airlines from Tata Company. It's a loss-making entity, not only in Sri Lanka, in India also. Very recently, grandson Tata got back the career again. Okay, because Singapore airport, what's happening? Singapore is a very small country. Okay, after landing in the airport, you have to walk to go out. But in Singapore, very close to the counter, one officer told me, sir, this is your taxi, you can go out. No need to wait. That type of plan. Okay. But don't forget, in 1964, Singapore gained independence. Lee Kuan Yew came to Ratnananak International Airport to go to London. So we were pioneer. We were pioneer. We were senior in education. Yes, Malayan pensioner, Singapore pensioner, all went from Ceylon. So we had very good education system. Judicial system. What happened now? Then innovation. To what extent we allocate money here? Okay. So that's what I'm saying. We have limited resources. We have to utilize efficiently. Okay. Then only you can enhance productivity, competitiveness. Then you can increase your economic output. That means you are boosting your growth. Otherwise, we have to export our youth to other countries sometimes as unskilled laborers. You can see in Qatar, Dubai airports, our youths are cleaning washroom. Our girls are cleaning kitchen. We have to stop that. We have to utilize our resources for our benefit. So you have to invest here. Here. Okay. South Korea also experienced same brain drain like Sri Lanka. Okay. But after the country started to experience the boost, economic boost, many South Koreans returned to the country. But unfortunately, many Sri Lankans are fleeing. Even today. So we have to utilize our resources. Okay. Then physical discipline. That is crucial. Okay. Then only we can control government expenditure. Then only we can manage revenue sources responsibly. We don't have both. We are unable to control government expenditure. We are unable to manage revenue. My friends once told me, Sri Lankan economy is not a matured economy. I asked, why? Why you are saying that? He said, matured economy means during crisis time, you need revenue. You need some sort of reserve. But we don't have. We are like a small boy. When you give 100 rupees to small boy, he will spend immediately. But matured man, okay, will spend very carefully. The Sri Lankan economy is not a matured economy because we don't have reserve. We don't have reserve. Because we are not spending wisely. We are not generating revenue efficiently. That is the issue. Then you don't have fiscal discipline. That is the story. Particularly during crisis period, we need to have resource. You are experiencing what happened during crisis period, during pandemic, what happened. But don't blame this country for this. This country is resourceful. Okay, this country is resourceful. Then the management is the issue. I'm not talking about politics here. Only economic side, fiscal discipline. Okay, forget about politics. How we are spending single rupee. That is the issue. Then when you have fiscal discipline, yes, then you can, at least you can bring the budget deficit to very low level. Then no need to borrow. When you manage your revenue and expenditure properly, no need to borrow. But unfortunately, Sri Lanka is a defaulted economy now. Because too much borrowing. Largest ministry in 2023 is finance ministry. More than 600 billion rupees was allocated for the finance ministry. Too much borrowing. Then we are struggling here. Okay. Then another point is when you have proper public finance management, you will invest in human capital. Okay. Education, healthcare, social services, all are important. Here also we are struggling. Not only physical infrastructure, human capital. Okay. Not only building, bridges, harbors, airport. We need a lot of technicians. Okay, you need skilled workforce at the same time healthy workforce. Then only they'll be more productive. Then you can sustain your economic growth. Then foreign investors also will come and invest. Then you can boost your innovation. Sri Lanka, here also we are struggling. Our allocation in education is very low comparatively. Health is very low comparatively. Spending on innovation is very low. Then infrastructure development, another issue. Okay. Then we need to prioritize our infrastructure projects. Okay. We need to prioritize. We need to decide what are the projects we have to do on a priority base. So transportation network, energy, communication. Communication, we are fine. But here we are struggling. Transportation network, energy. We could not invest heavily on renewable energy sources. Okay. Mihirani, can you mute your microphone? Okay. Solicited projects, unsolicited projects. There are two types of projects, solicited and unsolicited. Solicited means our priority. As I told you, expressways we need. That is solicited projects. Say, for example, Colombo to Dambulla expressway. We need urgently because a lot of districts are connected. And investment on the energy system. We have to invest on renewable energy sources. We are not. Then we are importing coal and diesel for thermal power plant and coal power plant. Our speed is very low. Solicited projects we neglected, but we selected some unsolicited projects. Harbour, airport. The Colombo Harbour is underutilized. Bandaranaike International Airport is underutilized. So we need airport, we need harbour, but now, not now. But we have some solicited projects. We need to go with that. Again, you have issue with the public finance management. Then only when you invest properly, then you can enhance business environment. You can reduce production cost. Then you can attract not only foreign investment, domestic investment also. That is crucial. Sri Lanka, Colombo Dambulla expressway, still we don't have. Singapore airport, the efficiency, and Kattunayake airport, you can compare. Okay, we missed the opportunity. Otherwise, not Singapore, not Hong Kong, particularly not Dubai and Qatar. Colombo would have been an aviation hub. Okay, we had that opportunity. We missed that. Then not Hong Kong or Singapore, Colombo harbor should have been a marine hub. We lost that also. Okay, that's a crucial issue. Then here also, really we are struggling. Sri Lanka is an ideal country for solar power, except few months. All the time you have sun over Sri Lanka. Okay, solar power, ideal country, island nation. Okay, you can generate power from sea wave also. But unfortunately, we could not invest. Our public finance went somewhere else. Then you have to promote private sector. Because government cannot invest alone. You have to bring private sector participation as much as possible. But you need to create an environment for that. For that, you need transparent tax system. We don't have this. Streamlined regulation, we are struggling here. And fair competition policies, we are struggling. Compared with Singapore, compared with Malaysia, compared with Thailand, compared with India now, compared with Vietnam, we are struggling. That's why we could not attract private investment, particularly foreign investment, even after the war. Then we are struggling here. So we could not generate jobs sufficiently for our youth. That's why they are leaving. Not only skilled, even unskilled persons are leaving the country. All the time you can't encourage youth to leave the country because we have to utilize their skills for the development of Sri Lanka. Here also we are struggling. Then poverty reduction. Sri Lanka is a welfare country. Okay, still we could not eradicate poverty. Still we have separate ministry for poverty eradication. Okay, that is the issue with our system. But anyway, to achieve development, full-scale development, you need to eradicate poverty. Then investor confidence. Investors expect transparent budgeting process, responsible debt management. Now we borrowed from foreign investor. Now we said we can't give you the loan. Okay, responsible debt management. We could not. anti-corruption measures. Okay. In South Korea, as far as I know, 3 presidents were jailed. Chun Doo-hwan, Roh Tae-hoo, and President Lee. All were jailed for corruption charges. In Sri Lanka, you can check. Even no minister has been jailed for corruption charges since independence. Unbroken record. Then shall we assume that in Sri Lanka no corruption, but South Korea full of corruption? Even presidents were put in jail. Can we conclude that? No. System. They don't have different system for president and a traffic policeman. No. Same system. Okay. Now you can see Singapore. Even Malaysia. Then when you have that transparent budgeting, responsible debt management, and proper anti-corruption measures, definitely foreign investors will flow to Sri Lanka. Singapore did that. They built their reputation. Then Lee Kuan Yew says a lot of foreigners came and invested. So we build that. Sri Lanka still we are struggling. Then stimulating economic cycle. Economic cycle means sometimes ups, sometimes down. Sometimes boost, sometimes crisis. During economic downturn, you have to be very careful. When you have well-managed public finance system, then you can adopt counter-cyclical policies. Okay? Keynes argument. Keynes proposed these counter-cyclical policies. Because during the crisis period, government should increase public spending. But here in Sri Lanka, we are reducing because we don't have capacity. Then you have to stimulate demand. But demand is coming down in Sri Lanka. Consumption is coming down because higher taxation. During crisis period, you have to reduce taxes. That's a counter-cyclical policies. But we don't have. Now, many are saying inflation is very low, 6%. But 2023 first quarter growth rate is minus 11.5%. So during crisis period, you should stimulate demand. But in Sri Lanka, demand is coming down. Why? To prevent severe economic contraction. We could not prevent that. We imposed higher taxes. Then consumption came down. Then economic contractions continue. 2024 also sometime negative growth rate. Why? You don't have this well-managed public finance management. Okay? System. Because 2019 to 2023, still we are struggling. We are under economic downturn. Unfortunately, we don't have well-managed public finance system. Long-term planning again. When you have efficient public finance management, just the number one criteria is you need long-term strategic planning. In Sri Lanka, you tell me what type of long-term planning we have. When you have long-term planning, definitely you can manage your resources effectively. You can invest in sustainable development projects. You can ensure economic growth. Okay, that growth can be sustained for a long period of time. This is also missing. Then innovation and research. Okay, that for that you need to invest in education. Okay, then only you can ensure technological advancement like South Korea. When you go to Canada, America, even I show in Colombia, everywhere, South Korean vehicle, cars. You see, they outreach. Not only they reach Sri Lanka, in Sri Lanka also, in Colombo also, you can see a lot of South Korean cars. They have reached American market, Canadian market, even Latin American market, everywhere. Why and how? They invested heavily here. When you see South Korean education spending, it's more than Japanese one, German, America. The average is very high. They maintain. They maintain above OECD standard. 80% college, student gets degree. 80%. In Sri Lanka, we don't have. We are unable to spend much. Then they have competitive edge in the global market. Then accountability. Efficient public finance management. When you have that, we have learned that earlier also. You have transparency and accountability in government spending. Okay. Verite research, yesterday I read. And the RTI, they are unable to get any information about this government spending on infrastructure projects. No data. Okay. They have asked under RTA, but no data. So, no transparency, no accountability. When you have accountability, that means transparency and accountability plus, then you can build the trust among citizens. At the moment, we don't have. Not only citizens and investors also. Then only you can encourage both domestic and foreign investors to come and invest in Sri Lanka. Then you can boost your economic growth. Debt management, no need to tell. No need to tell. We borrow. At the end, the debt service is a huge problem for Sri Lanka. Okay. When you see your total expenditure, your debt service as a percentage of total expenditure is 49%. Say 50%. That means when Sri Lanka spends 100 rupees, 50 rupees goes to debt service. Recent data, 33% goes to interest payment and another 20% goes to amortization, capital payment. So nearly 53 now. Say 50. So when Sri Lanka spends 100 rupees, 50 rupees gone for debt service. Another 30 rupees goes to public servant salary. 80 gone. Balance 20. 20% or 20 rupees per 100 rupees. So how you can manage the other budgetary obligation? Then borrowing. After the government increased this much of tax rates, still we could not meet revenue target. That's what the coming budget will tell us the story. Still we could not meet revenue target set by the IMF. Okay. So when you have proper management of public debt, then your borrowing will be responsible. Then you can spend the borrowed money for productive purposes. Okay. Productive purposes. Don't forget that. When you invest, you have to export goods and services. When you fail to export goods and services, you have to export people. Don't forget that. Are we exporting goods and services or are we exporting people? That's what I'm saying. We have to expand our economic activities. Every year. I saw Singapore data within 1 year period, they increased their per capita GDP by $3,000. 1 year. Okay, 21-22 period. Within 1 year, the increase was more than $3,000. But our per capita GDP is 3,800. See the expansion. See the expansion. Don't think that we can't. But we have to put the economy on the correct track. Correct trajectory. We have resources. How you are going to justify Sri Lanka is an island nation, but you are importing tri fish and canned fish from other countries. Canned fish coming from China, Chile, tri fish from Maldives, India, Dubai. How you are going to justify this? Sri Lanka is an island nation. How many fisheries harbour you have? Except Galle, Valachene and Mailiti. I don't know others. For my memory, 3. Galle, Valachene, very small one. Mailiti also not a very big one. These are the fisheries harbour. Sri Lanka is an island nation. East, west, south, no border, no country. Unlimited marine resources. Still we are importing canned fish and dry fish. When I went to Pasikuda, there are a lot of hotels, you know. I went to small, house. They are selling crabs and everything. Their boxes, they are getting from a lorry, a lot of boxes. Cuttlefish. Okay, imported from other countries. They are supplying to Pasikuda hotels. But Sri Lanka is an island nation. Then when you have proper debt management, then you can avoid this excessive debt accumulation. But we don't do so. Then we borrowed. Now we are here, financial crisis. Then we have disrupted economic growth, minus 11.5% in the first quarter of 2023. So that means when I listen my lectures carefully, we have invited trouble. Okay? We have invited trouble. Crisis resilient. When you have proper public finance management, then you can respond to economic shock and crisis. So unfortunately, we are not. Okay? We are not. We are unable to manage the crisis. Still, we could not repay the loan, foreign loan. Don't forget that. Still, talks are going on. When we start to repay the loan, then another crisis. Okay? Nobody knows what will happen. Because the talk between Zambia and China did not give any care cut. Okay? Then China mentioned, we can extend the maturity period only. That's it. Then China cannot give different solution to Sri Lanka, different solution to Zambia, and different solution to Sri Lanka. No, I don't think that is possible. Okay? Still, we could not repay the foreign loan because defaulted. So, our public finance management, effective public finance management is crucial. Then whenever you have crisis, you can mitigate very easily, efficiently. Economic growth in Sri Lanka. Because data is available from 1951, this year we established our central bank. Central Bank of Ceylon. Okay, 1951 to 2022. Our average growth rate is this 4.1%. We could not touch even 5%. Even 5% is not a massive growth rate. But we are below 5%. This is the average. Why we could not sustain our economic growth? We have showing economic policy between UNB and SLFP earlier. Now maybe SJP and Tohotowes. Okay. That is the main reason. Because our policies, economic policies were fluctuated between protectionism and liberalization. But don't forget that liberalization alone will not give you anything or everything. Because Chile and Sri Lanka introduced liberalization in 1975 and 77 respectively. Chile is a high-income country now. Sri Lanka is a low middle-income country. So liberalization alone will not give you good growth rate. Okay? How you implemented these policies, that is crucial. Then 30 years civil conflict, that also affected our growth momentum because we pumped billions of billions to run the war. Then internal and external shocks, time to time. Internal shock, first JVP insurrection, second JVP insurrection, then the war, internal shock. Then external shock, the Gulf War, okay? And sometimes drought, oil shock time to time. Easter Sunday attack, COVID-19, and economic crisis. These are internal and external shock. That also affected our growth momentum. Then poor public finance management. Why I am saying on certain sectors, not enough. Education, health, economic infrastructure, not enough. Sometimes not on correcting. Beautification, new harbor, new airport, okay, cricket stadium, not on correcting. For certain sectors, not enough. Okay, we are not spending on right thing. That's also there. This is our growth rate. This is first shock. SWRD Bandaranaike, closed economic policy. Srimao Bandaranaike, closed economic policy, first JVP insurrection. This is second JVP insurrection. Okay, then Indian Army arrival. This is LGT East and Kattanayake Airport attack. First ever minus growth rate. Then Easter Sunday, then economic, this pandemic, and latest one, 2022. This is Dudley Senanayake, partial liberalization. Jayajavadana, full-fledged liberalization. Okay. Then after the war ended here. Then massive infrastructure development using commercial borrowing. Harbor, airport, cricket stadium, Lotus Tower, everything. So infrastructure related investment alone will not give you economic sustainability, then collapse. You invested, then economic growth was there, but you could not expand your production and exports. Then you can see before the pandemic, Sri Lankan economy started to struggle. Before the Easter Sunday attack or before the pandemic, these two and Easter Sunday attack, then pandemic came here. Okay, then the average is 4.1%. Then the policy-wise, open economic policy, UNB, SLP, UNB, SLP, UNB. Then after the regime change, President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga did not change the economic policies under PA, of the People Alliance government, but economic growth is here. Then Mr. Rani Wickremesinghe formed. Then then there's good governance government, RW and MS. This is pandemic, Easter Sunday attack, everything. Okay, the color properly I have used, I guess. This is 50-50, UNB and SLP. Okay, this is the growth rate. Except this and this, all other growth rates are below 4%. This also due to mega projects using commercial borrowing. This is the one reason for our default. We invested heavily, but no revenue. Harbor, airport, and highways. Okay, liability is there. So you don't have capacity to repay the loan, then default. First time default. Now you can understand. Okay. Then several economic policies we implemented. Okay, since 1948, open trade policy. Then Bandaranaike and Srimao period, deregized economic policy, that means closed economic policy, a lot of, restriction on economic activities. Then again, partially liberalized, Dudley Senanayake. Then again Sri Mao, not 5 years, 7 years, because he changed constitution in 1975, another 2 years he got. Indira Gandhi also did that. Okay, emergency in India, both leaders. So again, beyond Soviet bloc, Sri Lanka had massive control on economic activities, our economic collapse. Then liberalization. First country in South Asia. Jayawardena was waiting till 1977. Economic front, he liberalized, but political side, a lot of issues came. Okay. So when you see the economic history of Sri Lanka, full with inappropriate and ineffective economic policies, owing to what? Ideological reason. UNB different policy, SLB different, completely different policies. Ideological reasons. So when you see the experience of Singapore, Vietnam, Malaysia, all other Southeast and East Asian countries, this is the difference. They did not change their policy. In Sri Lanka, we had. Okay, due to ideological reasons. The victim is economy. So that's why we could not adopt pragmatic economic policies. In fact, if Bandaranaike was in the UNB without revolting, without forming a different party, SLP, sometimes Sri Lanka would have adopted open economic policy in 1960s. That's what, after the Bandaranaike revolt, he closed the economy, then Dudley Senanayake could not open fully. So partial liberalization, that also failure due to the closeness. And we could not reform, economic reform, administrative reform, education reform, due to what? Due to strong ideological differences. So then we introduce executive presidential system, then parliament, prime minister, executive president, a lot of election, this and that. Then sometimes president is the finance minister. Not only now, earlier also. I don't think Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is mismanaging, using his power. Earlier that happened. The president and finance minister is the same person. As you are aware, our vice chancellor cannot be a bursar. Government agent, district secretary cannot be an accountant. DS, division secretary cannot be accountant. But in our country, sometimes the chairman and accountants are the same person. Then there are issues. Okay, when the previous government implemented a lot of unsolicited projects, cabinet could not stop that. Parliament could not stop that. Opposition party could not stop that. That's why we are struggling now. Because executive power. Okay? That is the issue. Then path to higher growth, we need to see Vietnam and Singapore. How Vietnam achieved economic success, because Vietnam is a junior to Sri Lanka. Vietnam introduced liberalization in 1990s, former socialist country. Now, it's a well-known achiever. In my room, I have a Canon printer made in Vietnam. Okay, super printer, 3-in-1. Printer, scanning machine, photocopy, and everything's there, 3-in-1. Then how Singapore achieved economic success in recent years? Okay, factors behind Vietnam's success. You can see here, one by one, quickly. Export-oriented growth. After we diversify our production in 1971 from plantation crops to garment, further diversification is missing. From 1977 to 2023, garments is dominating. Okay, but Vietnam became a manufacturing hub. Where? Textile, fine, electronic and other consumer goods. Here we are missing. Still we are exporting garments. But electric and electronic exports, okay, are coming from Vietnam because they invested properly. They devised best policies, spend their money wisely. So that's what I'm saying. Development you can't get from the sky. You have to get it. You have to get it. Development will not come from the moon or sun or sky. No, you have to get it. Then it's low labor cost. Strategic location. Can you say Sri Lanka doesn't have strategic location? Can you say? Compared with Vietnam, our location is strategic. Then foreign investment came. Then export focused industries. So compared with Vietnam, our strategic location is crucial. Okay. Then there's a surge in exports and trade. Then they started to sustain economic growth. Then FDI, another issue. Okay. You can see Vietnam ensured best policies and attracted foreign investment. Particularly, they created favorable conditions for MNCs, multinational companies. Then a lot of multinational companies came and invested. Then a special economic zone, Vietnam also established. When we established our export processing zone after liberalization in 1977, Deng Xiaoping, Chinese leader, sent a delegation to Sri Lanka to have a look. We were pioneer. Now China is the factory of the world. But we were pioneer. That time, all other countries had closed economic policy. India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, China, this, Vietnam, all had closed economic policy. Superb time. Superb time. But we missed. We missed. Then due to the foreign capital inflow, Vietnam modernized infrastructure, create jobs, and finally boosted economic development. Then trade agreement. Various trade agreement, particularly this comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, where Asia-Pacific countries, including Japan, Canada, and Australia, successful trade agreement, Vietnam expanded the export. Okay, labor force, okay, young and increasingly skilled. In Sri Lanka, unfortunately, every year, 282,000 students are sitting for A-level. 43,000 students are coming to the university system. Every year, 240,000 students are left behind. Okay, they are unable to get a degree or other professional qualification. Then someone leaving the country means they take dollar out. But you can see our style. We are looking only tourist arrival. How many tourists are coming? Only we are counting tourist arrival. But are we counting how many Sri Lankans are going out with dollar? You can't think about inflow only. You have to think about outflow only. You have to minimize outflow. You have to maximize inflow. We have to bring foreigners to study in Sri Lanka. You have to bring foreigners to get a medical treatment in Sri Lanka. You have to develop that. Many other countries are doing that. You can't think about always how many tourists are coming, how many tourists are coming. That is not enough. Okay, that is not enough. Then Vietnam had a competitive advantage. Why I am saying we could not invest on education? You have limited resources. You have to spend wisely. Then only you can have skilled labor force. You have to use that skilled labor force for your benefit first. You can't produce skilled labor force for Canada, America, UK, Germany, France, Australia, New Zealand. You can't. You can't. Not in 2023. 1970, 75, okay. 80, okay. Not now. Okay, we have to utilize our resources for our benefit first. Then you need policies, you need plan, you need implementation. Then agricultural transformation. Here also you can see, while moving towards industrialization, okay, in Vietnam, agriculture sector also played an important role. Okay, you can see Vietnam shifted from traditional rice farming to more diverse agricultural products such as coffee, seafood. Seafood. Are we exporting seafood? But unfortunately, we are importing. I have to verify this also. One of my friends told me, he's an engineer, he went to Saudi Arabia. It was a fruit juice factory. And there's a big shot. He was a friend of the Sri Lankan guy. Then this Sri Lankan has asked, can I see your factory inside? Then using that friendship, okay, you can come. Fruit juice factory in Saudi Arabia. He has asked, Sri Lankan has asked, from where you are getting fruits for this juice factory? The Saudi Arabian has told, from your country, Sri Lanka. But then, if that is true, are we unable to make fruit juice from fruit? We don't have capacity. Then our value addition, okay? Then you can't export tea and t-shirt for 50 years, my dear. You have to diversify, okay? Electric, seafood, fruits, everything. You have to modernize. You have to diversify. Then you have to invest. You have to spend money. That's the point. That's what I ask you. How many fisheries harbor you have? So your public finance management, where we have to invest on correct things. Not enough. Then tourism. That is coming here, but I have different story. Sri Lanka is a very good destination, but some are saying from developed countries, middle and low income people are coming to Sri Lanka. Others are going to Thailand and Malay. I show when I visited Colombia last month. From Colombo, I used the Turkish airline. Colombo to Malay, flight was almost empty, but from Malay to Istanbul, full. On my way back from Istanbul to Malay, full. From Malay to Colombo, only 5 people join us. So compared with Colombo, Maldives attract a lot of tourists. Okay, but anyway, we can develop this tourism sector, and Singapore and Jamaica is very good example. Jamaica decided to develop agriculture sector and tourism sector, but Singapore decided to invest heavily on education. Now, where is Jamaica? Where is Singapore? Singapore per capita GDP is more than $80,000. So are we going to follow Jamaica or Singapore? Okay. So I'm not saying we have to close the tourism industry. No, maybe that is a side business. Our main business should be education and industrialization. We have to explore a lot of electronic and electrical items. Okay, then our marine resource we have to utilize very carefully, efficiently. Okay, then only you can sustain your economic growth. Okay, through tourism also you can get foreign exchange, no harm. You can get a lot of employment opportunities also, no harm. But you can't depend on tourism for 50 years. So you have to diversify. That is my argument. You have to, my argument is you have to sustain your economic growth. Okay. Then economic reform also. Vietnam introduced one, reform called Doi Moi, innovation and renovation. Okay. Market-oriented economic reform. Then, as a result of that reform, they minimize this bureaucratical constraint and encourage private sector participation. We also did that, but due to the war, there was a break point. Okay. Then they shifted simply from this planned economy to market economy. That's a huge shift. But we did that in 1977. But Vietnam, late 80s. Then infrastructure development. That is also crucial. We have to invest heavily. It may be road, forts, energy facilities. Okay, Vietnam did that. But here we are struggling. Here we are struggling. Okay, then political stability, no need to tell you. That also important. Because my friend told me, he's from finance ministry, why tourists are not coming even after the pandemic. He said, you can see the road everywhere, army and a lot of, picketing and lorries, police are with, water cannon, this and that. Then tourists will not come. The political stability also you need. Okay, for investors, to tourists. Okay, you need. Now, Vietnam is a well-known achiever in Asia. Since 1990, growth rate, average growth rate is here. Heavy focus on education, health, okay, and focus on high-tech agriculture sector. You can see how they are doing. Maintenance of public debt below statutory limit, 65%. We have exceeded 119. Heavy expenditure on development-related investment. Transform through social and economic reforms, institutional strengthening, everything. Social reform, economic reform, and institutional strengthening. They have done. Okay. This is also important for you. Vietnam diversifies export from agricultural and natural resources-based product to apparel in 1990. Okay. After the liberalization, quickly they are moving towards apparel industry. Within 10-year period, you can see 1990s to 2000, then to electronic. Thus stand among the leading exporters in the global production network today within 10-year period. But we liberalized in 1977. We shifted from these plantation crops to garments in 1977. Still, garment is dominated. I'm not saying we can't, okay, go with the garment industry, but we have to diversify further. Electronic and electrical industry and other area also we have to find out. Okay. We can't think about traditional exports market. We have to go beyond that. Then our major destination, America, Canada, and Western Europe. But we have to think about China and India. Okay. But India and Sri Lanka, trade, that is biased towards India. China, Sri Lanka, biased towards China. When you see the import structure, number one, China, more than 22%. India, 21%. Okay, we are importing. When you see export, 6% to India, China is not in the list. 22% is coming from China, but we are not exporting to China. So we have, that's a big market, China and India. So then you need policy. You have to develop. Okay. You can't think about America, Canada, Western Europe all the way. Okay. Then we have to diversify our merchandise exports also. The service export also. For that, you need to invest. Okay. Without investing in education, you can't think about service export. That's what I'm saying. Public finance management is crucial here. Okay. Then we have to learn from Vietnam. Because Vietnam has diversified her export and emerged victorious in Asia. Okay. Then another point we have to discuss with regard to public finance management, we have to attract non-debt creating financial flow. You can't borrow and invest. You have to ensure financial flow, that is FDI. That is non-debt creating financial flow. Then only you can ensure growth trajectory, because the foreign investors and local investors, they will not invest in unproductive area. They will not, like country. Okay, they will not. Then you can ensure high growth rate. But unfortunately, compared with our regional peers, our FDI is well below. Okay, that's what we could not sustain our economic growth. So again, we have to learn from Vietnam. Investor-friendly policies, reform. So Vietnam succeeded. Where FDI came to productive and tradable sectors. That's what I'm saying. When you invest, you have to expand production, you have to export more and more goods and services. Otherwise, your investment is a failure. Now you can see Vietnam is now a home to some of the world-leading electronic brands such as Intel, Samsung, Mitsubishi, LG, and Panasonic, and Canon printer. Canon also. In my room, I have Canon. Okay. How they achieved? Within a short period of time. Proper public finance management. That is number one. Okay. Then this is also important for us. Consensus across political regimes. So time to time, we can't change. Every 5 years, we can't change economic policies. Okay. That is another issue. So not only Vietnam, Singapore also. Both countries' experience suggests that social and political consensus on long-term economic priority. That is important. We have to decide. Education, one minister is changing, then another minister also changing, another minister changing. Okay, we need a social and political consensus on at least long-term economic priority. We have to decide that. That is missing in Sri Lanka. Okay, we can say this is historically a weak area. Okay, time to time. Whenever we have regime change, economic policy also change. Then Singapore success story. How public finance management led the country to enjoy good growth rate. Okay. Singapore built these three pillars: meritocracy, pragmatism, and honesty. Merit-based appointment. What is the situation in Sri Lanka? Number one. Pragmatism. Singapore did not go with Russia or America. Singapore devised best policies for her interest. And honesty. Lee Kuan Yew. I read somewhere, you can verify that, one minister accepted a holiday trip from a company. When he landed in Singapore, he was fired. Lee Kuan Yew, best friend. We were accepting holiday trip also. It's a corruption in Singapore. He was fired. That is honesty. That's honesty. President or prime minister can be an honest person, but not only president and prime minister, the surrounding people also should be honest. Not only leaders, surrounding people also should be honest. Sri Lanka, are we moving towards pragmatism or dogmatic idealism? Dogmatic idealism means we devise a policy and implement and fail. You can decide. I'm not telling. Are we here or here? How Singapore achieved? Okay, economic success. Not only in the region, global economic success. How? It's rapid transformation from a developing country to a high-income, advanced economy within a short period of time. Okay, several factors contributed. Strategic location again. What about Sri Lanka? Have we invested to utilize this strategic location? Okay, because Singapore strategic location is important in a shipping route. Because Singapore economy is depending heavily on trade and logistic facilities. So entire world is using that. Colombo also is an important place. Colombo. Okay. So strategic location, not only for Singapore, we also have. We are not like Bangladesh or Nepal or Bhutan. Ideal country. Okay, Sri Lanka. Open and competitive economy. We also have that. But to what extent we are successful? Open and liberal economic environment. Minimal trade barriers, low taxes, and business-friendly regulatory framework. I visited Singapore. I purchased the gold jewelry for my wife and daughter. Then I think that they charged me 7% duty. Then the girl from Mustafa shop, jewelry shop, asked, "I foreigner or Singaporean?" I said foreigner. Then give you a passport. Then they gave you the bill and everything. The girl told me, "Sir, when you go to the airport, there's a counter. Go and get 5% duty reimbursement." So there were 3%, different room, monitored by CCTV camera. Within 5 minutes, they gave me 5% reimbursed. So Singapore is telling, come to Singapore, purchase the gold jewelry and give us dollar. That's a system. Okay, user friendly, low tax. Then as a result, Lee Kuan Yew also mentioned, we started to attract a lot of foreign investment. Everybody believed us, trusted us. Then we started to experience higher growth rate. And education and skilled workforce. The Singapore National University spending on research, R&D, research and development, is similar to Harvard University. So when I was there, I watched TV in Singapore. They said the government allocated a significant amount to R&D, artificial intelligence, and tissue therapy. How they identify. Then a lot of people are going to Singapore Fraser Hospital for medical treatment, including Sri Lankan ministers. Okay, you can see Singapore is a small country, less than Jaffna Peninsula. Okay, but they emphasize heavily on education and workforce development. Then high skill and adaptable workforce. Earlier, they invited foreigners to come and work in Singapore. Now they are telling the priority for Singaporean. Then only chances will go to others. Then they attracted high value industries and foreign investment. But they invested heavily. Can't we do that? Are we doing that? Okay. Then innovation and research. Again, same problem. Spending on R&D. Massive in Singapore. Okay. They have Agency for Science, Technology and Research, A-STAR. Okay. A lot of innovation. Small country. Then infrastructure development, you can go and see the railway line, roads and everything. Telecommunication everywhere. Ports, airports. World-class infrastructure. Okay. Then the language issue also, I have to tell you, because in Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew mentioned, when we gained independence, there were 3 communities, Chinese, Malay, and Tamil people also. All 3 communities work hard to build the country. You know, in India, Hindi is a language spoken by the majority. They asked Singapore government to include Hindi also. They said, no, we can't include Hindi because the Tamil people, you know, help to build the country. So we will not forget that. We will not forget that. So all 3 languages are there. Okay, Chinese, Malay, Tamil, plus English everywhere. Infrastructure, railway line, everything you can see. Then strategic economic diversification. So that is crucial for Singapore's success. Okay. Then they did not depend only one area, single sector. That's what I'm saying. You can't depend only on garment industry or tourism industry. That's a disaster. Okay, you have to develop multiple sectors: harbor, airport, tourism, education, health. Okay, trade, importantly. Okay, trade. Important. Everywhere we have to build. We have to think about how to bring foreign exchange, how to bring. Stop counting tourist heads. Don't do that. You have to count how many Sri Lankans are leaving with the dollar. You have to count that portion. Then only you can minimize that. Okay. Then the Singapore success #1 area is trade. Okay. Then finance, technology, health, tourism, everywhere. Everywhere. Visa also on arrival. Anyone can go. Anyone can go. Show us dollar, come and spend and go. So free trade agreement again. We also have the problem for me, to what extent we have expanded our trade after this free trade agreement. Otherwise, we have only paper. Okay. I don't want paper. We need to expand our export. We need to produce more. We have to diversify. We need to diversify not only the export sector, export market, we have to diversify our destination also. Okay. Singapore did that. Lot of agreement, effective agreement. You can read this. Then MNCs, they attracted a lot of MNCs, foreign multinational corporations. Okay, that is another success for them. How? They had friendly environment, connectivity. Then proactive government policies. Very briefly, I'm telling you, you can read this later. Then quality life and governance also. Governance means not only the rule of the law and public finance management, proper public finance management. Okay. Then efficient governance and low level of corruption. That also important. Then high quality life. $80,000 is not a simple thing. More than American. More than American. They have budget surplus in recent years. Okay. And I'm going to conclude that taking an easy line, the Sri Lankan government had sought in the past 18 months to deliver prosperity by getting central bank and commercial bank to finance its activities. From January 22, May 2021, it had borrowed from the banking system some staggering 2.6 trillion, a record by any standard. Okay. And this is a practice that should not be continued. You can see Singapore first finance minister, Goh Keng Swee. What is his argument? One said, not from the central bank printed money, but through the hard working of the people, the prosperity will come. The prosperity should come not from the central bank printed money, but through the hard work of the people. He further said, if the people wanted to better government services, they should be prepared to pay for them. Okay, everybody should pay. They should realize that there was no free lunch as such. All lunches through there appear to be free, had to be paid by people, either through higher taxes or through inflation. We were happy with the freebies. All the time, we were happy with the freebies. Free, free, free. Okay? That is called pork barrel politics. The politician will give you freely, but take everything from you later. That is not their money. They are not giving freebies from their pocket. They will give you, next day they will get from you. How? Through higher taxes and through inflation. Both are inequitable, more painful than a hard work. But this is missing because they unfairly fall on low income people. So better hard work. Better hard work. Okay, I'm going to conclude. Now everybody is blaming central bank. Central bank alone cannot give you good growth. Monetary policy, exchange rate policy alone will not work. Okay, various non-monetary factors, human resource skills, This should come from the government, knowledge input, not from central bank, from the government, technology infusion from the government, competitiveness from the government, efficiency from the government, R&D from the government, politics and institution, all are from the government and the people, not only from the central bank. A lot of non-monetary factors should play a key role. Okay. Central bank monetary policy alone will not deliver good growth rate. Okay, we should remember that. Then from the government side, from the people side, we have to utilize limited financial resources very carefully. That is the goals of public finance management. Okay. Then you can see the countries that have been able to progress toward the status of knowledge economy accelerated GDP growth as East Asian countries. But Sri Lanka spending is very low on education, R&D. We don't have money. Okay, we don't have money. I told you last year, 300 million allocation. Then, when we target this knowledge economy status, we have to wait. We have to wait. We have to take a U-turn. Our investment in education is comparatively low. Comparatively low. Very low. 1.8%, I guess. Now, until you resolve this issue, on certain area, low. Education, health, and economic infrastructure, your allocation is low. Sometimes you are spending too much on other area, not a correct things. Unless you take a U-turn, your growth potential will continue to remain low in years to come. Then to achieve higher growth rate, what you have to do, proper public finance management, you have to ensure. The stable economic policy, CPSL autonomy. You can't pressurize central bank governor and the central bank authority. Once that happened in front of the media, what happened, you know. Then at least some level of autonomy. We can't give full-fledged autonomy. At least for our level, we have to give. We can't think about American standard, you know, Federal Reserve. No, don't go to America or Canada. For our standard, but we need. That's it. And consensus among major political parties regarding economic policies. Then feasible situation in the country also, that is also essential. Then quality of general education. Then we need to develop scientific and technical skill. Then R&D also important. Okay. Research capacity. Then we have to improve our management skills and administrative capacity of the government. Then here we have to improve knowledge, innovation, technology. Okay, these are the key drivers for economic growth in the modern world. Okay, then you need to spend your limited resources here: infrastructure development, education, health, and research. These are the crucial area. Crucial area. Okay, don't forget that. These are the crucial area. Economic infrastructure, education, health, and research. I have to bring few countries quickly. Singapore, you can see. Earlier I checked this, but later I updated my data. I could not mention here. You can also check. In 1960s, $500. Now $80,000, $82,000 something. You can see how they invested heavily on education, healthcare, infrastructure. Okay, they use their public finance very carefully. Transparency, efficiency, accountability. Then Singapore disciplined fiscal policies, prudent management of public funds, strategic investment in education, health, and infrastructure. Okay, this is one. Then South Korea also did the same thing. Okay, here you can see maintain fiscal discipline. With other policy, invested in education and technology and maintain fiscal discipline. Then Chile, I mentioned. Strong fiscal management and transparent public finance practices. So you can select few countries, see. Everywhere, their disciplined fiscal policies help them to achieve rapid development. It may be Singapore, South Korea, Chile, Vietnam, everywhere. That's the missing part in Sri Lanka. Okay. Can we learn from these countries? Are we going to continue with dogmatic idealism, or we are going to move towards pragmatism? That we have to decide. Okay. You can see our allocation. Too much borrowing. Finance Ministry from 185 billion to 2022 data, 23 data. From 185 to 600 plus. Education this much. Defense this much. Public security. This is police. This is tri-forces. Highways this much. Finance Ministry staggering 613 billion. Then technological development this much. So we need to change our strategy. We have to take a U-turn. So a lot of things we have to do. How you are going to reduce this? How you are going to diversify or transfer this fund to here, and technology. Your growth rate here, 2023 minus 11.5. We have to take quickly here, 8%, 10%. For that, you have to do a lot. Number one, proper public finance management. You have to invest on correct things. And now you can decide what you are going to do. Any question? Any question, please?
Sir, on the
What do you think? Yes, go ahead.
sir, on the slides, sir, will you be able to upload
Okay.
we have the introduction, public expenditure analysis, and public debt. Those three are updated, sir.
Okay. MFE, LMS. Okay, I'll do that. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good luck. I will meet you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.